I'm joined at the Radio Days conference, day 2, by Glen Mulcahy, who is the founder of Titanium Media. Now, Glen was just on the panel with me about digital insights, and as a former staff member at RT for many, many years, you spoke about the equipment that they use, but your specialty now is MOJO, mobile journalism. What we can create with our mobile phone. And we're not just talking about people like me, podcasters, vloggers, but even big brands and media. How important is MOJO right now?
MOJO is incredibly important. The paradox is that everyone already effectively has it, but very few people have realised the potential of it yet, which is kind of drives me a little bit batty now, to be honest with you. But it's been around 10 years. It's evolved an awful lot over that period, and it's only, I think, in the last 2 or 3 that we've started to see very, very big international brands start to leverage the power of it. And where it really, really has an opportunity that most people haven't yet really capitalised upon is niche storytelling. This is not a case of trying to cannibalise the big brand advertising market model. This is about being able to actually kind of appeal to small communities of people who are not represented by the mainstream stuff, and actually be able to kind of form a relationship with them and bring them in effectively as part of your community.
And we know that people are worried about radio versus digital versus print media and TV, but in actual fact, perhaps the secret is, when you talk about it, is building your own niche community and creating content for them. As a community of marketers who are watching and listening to this, should they be getting front of screen and getting their mobile phone, their tripod and their mic and start to create content in-house?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, here's the thing. There's hardly any financial investment in it, okay? So that, for me, from the first barrier, is kind of a no-brainer. Then all it takes is a little bit of effort. That should be something you can manage, okay? So there's huge room to innovate and to experiment. And basically, if you experiment and stuff doesn't work, abandon it and move on and try something else. But keep experimenting, keep innovating, because actually, if you remain static in the market, which is going through such massive disruption, you basically are absolutely risk complete and utter, irrelevance. And so, not everyone wants to go in front of the camera. We've heard from a 14-year-old blogger, amazing, 20 million views in one of her videos is incredible, right? So, what was the impotence for her? She identified who the market was. She identified what it was she wanted to achieve. She identified the solution, and she just went ahead and did it. There's a case study right there, which would be an inspiration to people who are sitting on the fence. I don't know if I should try it or whatever. Just bloody do it.
And I think that perhaps a lot of people listen too much to maybe people like me, commentators, who are telling them to do A, B, and C. But in reality, they will know best because they should know their audience best.
That is it in a nutshell. One size doesn't fit all. That's why the experimentation stage is so important. And also, you have to, from the get-go, agree to sign up for the idea that you're going to fail, but you're also going to achieve things, okay? And that's where the real learning and the real value is, No one audience is going to be on any particular one social media platform. So, publishing across the spectrum, waiting to see where the engagement comes from, and then putting more energy into that going forward is a sensible approach. But realize that never assume that that's the way it'll always be, that new platforms start to, eat others. Right now, there's a huge debate going on in the community I work with, where they say, we really need to be on Snapchat to talk to the millennials. And yet, loads of the people that I deal with who are brand ambassadors are going, well, actually, we're all moving towards Instagram more and more. So, maybe Instagram stories is where you need to be. So, it's never static. It's constantly evolving. And the only way you'll stay on top of it is to experiment and stay tapped into that community.
So we're at a radio conference, and we should talk about the channels that radio are tapping into, on air versus online. There's still a lot of fear there, isn't there? They don't want to lose their listenership, their channel or figures if they jump online. They're afraid that will happen. What's your own advice?
Yeah, so again, look, this is a very pragmatic and sensible approach, okay? You have a core user base, an audience that you serve through your linear broadcasting channel. But at the same time, you can be bloody sure that there's an audience that linear model is not serving. So I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater here. I'm saying do what you do well and continue to do that by all means. But make a bit of room for the experimentation on the side and be prepared to go through a period of iteration. Experiment, assess it, discard the stuff that obviously didn't work, do more of the stuff that does work. I'll give you just one tiny case study. WLR down in Waterford, not to go back to the old case study, but they actually started into this MOJO space maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And they were initially kind of going, well, we just use it for news, or should we look to do other content with it? And basically what they did is they have an events team that go out to, big launches and stuff. Normally that would be, we hire the roadcaster for the day and we do a broadcast from the road. all the girls that were on that team would go out, and when they're at those events, they're doing loads of short form social media content, pushing it out with the brand that has them there for the day, amplifying it over their own brand, and basically it's a complete no-brainer, and yet you get engagement on a platform that they otherwise would not really be on. So, you know, it's little things like that that are just quick wins and really, really easy to achieve.
And guys, you know what? You know, I started in journalism and radio. Glenn, you've come from the national broadcaster. We all have to evolve and iterate. And I think that standing still is when people will lose.
Yeah, standing still is definitely going to be to your detriment.
Glen Mulcahy from Titanium Media, thank you so much for joining me on JSB Talks Digital.
Thanks a lot.